On February 1959, Northern Ural Mountains, Russia. 9 experienced hikers cut their tent open from the inside and ran out into -30-degree darkness wearing almost nothing. They were found days later, scattered across the snow, dead. Some had internal injuries so severe they resembled the aftermath of a car crash. 1 was missing her tongue, 2 had fractured skulls. And yet the skin on their bodies was described by investigators as a deep orange-brown, almost like they had been dyed. The Soviet government classified the files. They stayed classified for decades. And the official explanation, when it finally came, explained almost nothing. The 9 hikers were not beginners. Igor Dyatlov led the group, a 23-year-old engineering student considered one of the most experienced expedition leaders in the Ural region. His team had completed multiple winter mountain crossings. They knew exactly what they were doing. They set up camp on the slope of a mountain the local Mansi people called Kholat Syakhl. In the Mansi language, that name means dead mountain. They never came back down. When rescuers reached the abandoned camp on February 26th, they found the tent partially collapsed and sliced open from the inside. The hikers had cut through it and fled into the dark. Their footprints in the snow showed no sign of panic or running. They walked, calmly, in a straight line, away from the tent, away from warmth, away from everything that could have kept them alive. Why would 9 experienced mountaineers abandon their tent in the middle of the night in -30 temperatures, without boots, without coats, without any survival equipment? The first bodies were found near a tree line about a mile from the camp. 2 of them, Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko, had climbed a large cedar tree so high they snapped branches on the way up. The bark of the tree was clawed and torn. Their hands were shredded. Investigators concluded they were trying to see something in the darkness above the camp. Dyatlov himself was found about 300 meters from the cedar. His body was frozen in a position facing back toward the tent, one arm raised slightly, as if he had been crawling toward it when he died. Those 5 died of hypothermia. That part made a grim kind of sense. The other 4 did not. Rustam Slobodin had a fractured skull, but the Soviet medical examiner ruled hypothermia as the cause of death anyway. Zina Kolmogorova was found in a similar position to Dyatlov, crawling back toward the tent. The last 4 were found months later, buried under 4 meters of snow in a ravine. And this is where the case stops making any sense at all. Nikolai Thibaut Brignol had massive skull fractures. Lyudmila Dubinova and Alexander Zolotarev had broken ribs on multiple sides. The force required to cause those injuries, according to the forensic report, was comparable to a car crash or a powerful explosion. But there were no external wounds, no bruising on the skin. The force came from inside somehow, or from something that left no visible mark. And Lyudmila Dubinova was missing her tongue, her eyes, her lips. The soft tissue had been removed. Soviet investigators quietly noted this and then said almost nothing further about it. Radiation was detected on several of the bodies and on pieces of their clothing, moderate levels, unexplained. The Soviet government sealed the investigation in May 1959 and stamped it with a single cause of death, an unknown compelling force. That was the official conclusion, an unknown compelling force. In the 1990s, after the Soviet Union collapsed, some of the files were released. They raised more questions than they answered. Witnesses in the region reported seeing glowing orange spheres in the sky above the Urals during the same period. Military units in the area at the time have never been fully accounted for. The Mansi people, who knew that mountain well, refused to go near the campsite and told investigators they had warned outsiders about that slope for generations. Theories have multiplied ever since. An avalanche, a military weapons test, infrasound from the mountain causing mass panic, a confrontation with something in the dark. In 2019, the Russian government reopened the investigation and concluded avalanche. Nearly every independent researcher who examined the evidence rejected that conclusion immediately. The tent damage was wrong, the footprints were wrong, the body positions were wrong. An avalanche does not explain fractured skulls with no external wounds. It does not explain missing soft tissue. It does not explain the radiation. It does not explain why 9 people who survived mountains their entire lives chose to die in the cold rather than stay inside a tent. The files that were released in the 1990s were not the complete files. Researchers who requested the full archive were told certain documents no longer existed. Some pages were missing. Some sections had been removed before the files were ever made public. Whatever happened on Dead Mountain on the night of February 1st, 1959, someone decided a long time ago that the full truth was not something the public needed to know. The case is still officially unsolved. The mountain still has its name.